Every file has a story. Some were never meant to be found. In the winter of 1959, deep within the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains, 9 experienced hikers vanished under circumstances so strange that more than 60 years later, investigators, scientists, and conspiracy theorists are still searching for answers. Their abandoned tent was found ripped open from the inside. Their footprints led away into the darkness. Their bodies were scattered across the snow. Some appeared to have frozen to death. Others suffered devastating internal injuries with almost no external wounds. One victim was missing her tongue. The official investigation eventually closed the case, but it never truly explained what happened on that mountain. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. In January 1959, 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov assembled a team for what was expected to be another successful winter expedition. Dyatlov was an experienced engineering student from the Ural Polytechnic Institute and a respected leader among the university's hiking community. The expedition included 8 other skilled hikers. Most were university students or recent graduates. Several had years of mountaineering experience and had completed difficult winter expeditions before. Their goal was ambitious. They planned to ski more than 300 kilometers across the northern Ural Mountains and reach Mount Otorten, one of the most remote locations in the Soviet Union. The journey was classified as a Category 3 expedition. At the time, it represented the highest level of difficulty recognized by Soviet hiking authorities. Every member of the group was considered capable of completing it. The hikers carefully prepared their equipment: heavy canvas tents, wooden skis, axes, cameras, diaries, medical supplies, food for several weeks. Everything suggested they expected a demanding but manageable adventure. Before leaving, the group joked with friends, took photographs, and promised to send a telegram once they returned. Nothing in those final conversations hinted that they would soon become part of one of history's greatest mysteries. On January 23rd, the team departed by train from Sverdlovsk. Over the next several days, they traveled through small Soviet towns before reaching the edge of civilization. One member, Yuri Yudin, began suffering severe joint pain during the journey. Reluctantly, he decided to return home before the group entered the mountains. At the time, he believed he had simply become ill. Instead, he unknowingly became the only member of the expedition who would survive. The remaining 9 hikers continued north. As they entered deeper into the wilderness, they documented their progress with photographs and journal entries. The mood remained optimistic. They laughed, built campfires, skied across frozen rivers, and recorded the breathtaking beauty of the snow-covered landscape. But conditions gradually became more difficult. Powerful winds swept across the mountains. Temperatures dropped below -30 degrees Celsius. Visibility often disappeared inside blinding snowstorms. Despite the harsh environment, the group pressed forward. Experienced hikers were trained to overcome these challenges. Nothing in their diaries suggested panic or fear. Their final photographs showed smiling faces, friends helping each other through deep snow. Simple moments that looked no different from countless expeditions before. No one realized those photographs would become the last images ever taken of the group. On February 1st, the hikers reached the eastern slope of a mountain known by the local Mansi people as Kholat Syakhl. Its name is often translated as Dead Mountain. The group had intended to cross the nearby pass before setting up camp. Instead, poor visibility caused them to drift off course. Rather than descending into the shelter of the forest, they pitched their tent directly on the exposed mountainside. It was a decision that investigators would later examine for decades. The camp was established on an open, snowy slope with almost no protection from the freezing wind. The hikers prepared dinner, organized their equipment, and settled into their sleeping bags. It would become their final night alive. Sometime after darkness fell, something happened. No witness survived to describe it. No recording captured it. And no document ever explained it. Whatever occurred inside that tent caused 9 experienced hikers to make a decision that seemed completely irrational. They cut their way out of the tent from the inside. Then they fled into the freezing darkness, wearing little or no winter protection, barefoot, in socks, or partially dressed. For people trained to survive brutal winter conditions, abandoning shelter like this was almost unimaginable. Yet every piece of evidence suggested exactly that. The hikers never arrived at their scheduled destination. Days passed, then weeks. At first, friends and family believed bad weather had simply delayed the expedition. Winter travel in the Ural Mountains was unpredictable, and experienced hiking groups often returned behind schedule. But when no telegram arrived, concern quickly turned into alarm. On February 20th, a search operation was finally organized. Volunteer students were joined by rescue teams, police officers, soldiers, and aircraft. The search covered vast areas of frozen wilderness. Days later, rescuers noticed something unusual on the side of Kholat Syakhl. Partially buried beneath drifting snow stood the expedition's tent. At first glance, it appeared almost intact. But as investigators approached, they realized something was terribly wrong. The entrance remained closed, yet several long cuts had been made through the fabric from the inside. The openings were large enough for people to crawl through in desperate haste. Inside the tent, almost everything had been left behind. Heavy winter jackets, boots, gloves, food, maps, cameras, diaries, personal belongings. The hikers had abandoned nearly every item necessary to survive. Outside the tent, investigators discovered a single line of footprints leading downhill toward a forest nearly 1.5 kilometers away. The prints showed no signs of panic. They were not running. There was no evidence of a struggle. The footprints simply continued into the darkness, then gradually disappeared beneath fresh snowfall. Search teams followed the trail. At the edge of the forest, beneath a large Siberian cedar tree, they made the first horrifying discovery. 2 bodies lay beside the remains of a small fire. They were Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko. Both were barefoot, wearing only underwear and light clothing. Their hands showed severe burns. The branches above them were broken several meters high, suggesting one or both men had climbed the tree. Perhaps they were searching for the missing tent. Perhaps they were hiding from something. Or perhaps they were desperately gathering firewood. No one knew. Several hundred meters away, rescuers found 3 more bodies. Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin. Each lay at different points between the cedar tree and the abandoned tent. Their positions suggested they had been trying to return to camp. One after another, they collapsed in the snow before reaching safety. The first medical examinations concluded that all 5 had died primarily from hypothermia. But even these early findings raised troubling questions. Some victims displayed unexplained injuries. Slobodin suffered a fractured skull, yet the wound alone was not considered fatal. There were bruises on several bodies, small abrasions, and signs that some had survived for hours after leaving the tent. Still, investigators believed the greatest mystery remained unsolved. Where were the other 4 hikers? Weeks passed before the remaining bodies were finally discovered. They were buried beneath several meters of snow inside a narrow ravine deeper within the forest. Unlike the first 5 victims, these hikers were wearing far more clothing. Some garments had clearly belonged to their companions. It appeared the survivors had removed clothing from those who had already died in an attempt to stay alive. Then investigators noticed something even more disturbing. Ludmila Dubinina had suffered massive chest injuries. Several ribs had been crushed with tremendous force. Semyon Zolotaryov showed similar fractures. Nikolai Thibault-Buignol had severe trauma to his skull. According to forensic experts, the injuries resembled those produced by a powerful automobile collision. Yet there were almost no external wounds, no deep cuts, no crushing damage to the skin, no evidence of a physical assault. It was as though an enormous force had acted upon their bodies without leaving visible marks. The strangest discovery involved Dubinina. Her tongue was missing. Parts of her eyes and soft facial tissue were also absent. Another victim showed similar damage. The official report suggested natural decomposition and scavenging animals. But these details fueled decades of speculation. Then, another unexpected detail emerged. Some articles of clothing recovered from the expedition showed measurable levels of radioactive contamination. Although the radiation was relatively limited, investigators never provided a fully satisfying explanation for its presence. Every new discovery seemed to deepen the mystery rather than solve it. As investigators attempted to reconstruct the hikers' final hours, one question overshadowed every other. What could possibly force 9 experienced mountaineers to abandon the only shelter they had in the middle of a Siberian winter? The first official explanation pointed toward a simple possibility: an avalanche. According to this theory, the group believed a wall of snow was about to collapse onto their tent. Cutting through the canvas would have been faster than opening the entrance. Fearing immediate burial, they fled downhill into the darkness. At first glance, the theory seemed reasonable, but several problems quickly appeared. The tent had not been buried beneath a massive avalanche. Many of the skis remained standing upright. Footprints leading away from the campsite were still visible weeks later. The slope itself was relatively gentle compared to locations where deadly slab avalanches usually occur. For decades, critics argued that the evidence simply did not support a catastrophic avalanche. Other theories soon followed. Some believed the hikers had wandered into a secret Soviet military weapons test. The late 1950s were the height of the Cold War. Large areas of the Soviet Union were closed to civilians. Witnesses from nearby regions later reported strange glowing orange lights moving across the night sky around the same time. Some suggested experimental missiles or airborne explosives may have terrified the hikers. Others argued that classified weapons could explain the unusual internal injuries. Yet no confirmed military records have ever connected weapons testing to the expedition that night. Another theory focused on powerful atmospheric phenomena. Researchers proposed that unusual wind conditions around the mountain could have produced infrasound. These extremely low-frequency sound waves are largely inaudible to humans, but may trigger intense feelings of panic, anxiety, or disorientation. According to this hypothesis, the hikers may have experienced overwhelming fear without understanding its cause. In a desperate attempt to escape the sensation, they fled their tent. The idea attracted scientific interest, but no direct evidence proved that such conditions existed on the mountain that evening. The mystery continued. Some investigators examined the possibility of human involvement. Could escaped prisoners have attacked the group? Could local Mansi hunters have defended their territory? The evidence offered little support. No signs of combat were found around the campsite. Valuable equipment remained untouched. The Mansi people actively assisted search teams and had no known motive. Authorities eventually dismissed these possibilities. Then came the theories that captured the public imagination. Some believed the hikers encountered an unknown creature. Others claimed they had witnessed extraterrestrial activity. The reports of glowing lights, the unexplained injuries, the radiation, the missing tongue. Combined together, these details inspired countless books, documentaries, and conspiracy theories. But none produced verifiable evidence. As decades passed, new technology allowed researchers to revisit the case. Computer simulations, satellite terrain analysis, snow dynamics, and modern forensic science all contributed fresh perspectives. In 2021, a team of scientists published research suggesting that a rare type of delayed slab avalanche could account for many of the physical clues. Using advanced snow modeling, they argued that a relatively small but dense block of snow might have collapsed onto the tent hours after it was pitched. The impact could have caused serious internal injuries, while leaving relatively few external wounds. Believing a larger avalanche might follow, the hikers may have evacuated immediately. The theory addressed several long-standing objections, yet many researchers remained unconvinced. It still failed to explain every detail. Why travel so far from the tent? Why were some victims found in different locations, performing different survival activities? Why were certain injuries so unusual? And why did experienced hikers never return once the immediate danger had passed? Perhaps the mountain held more than one tragedy that night. Perhaps several independent events combined into a perfect chain of disaster. Or perhaps crucial evidence disappeared forever beneath snow, time, and secrecy. In the end, the Soviet investigation reached a brief and puzzling conclusion. The hikers had died because of a compelling natural force. No further explanation was officially provided. The case was quietly closed. But the questions never disappeared. Every winter, new visitors climb the same lonely mountain, They stand where the tent once stood. They follow the path toward the cedar tree, and they imagine what those final moments must have been like. Some believe science has nearly solved the mystery. Others remain convinced that important truths are still being hidden. More than 6 decades later, the Dyatlov Pass incident continues to challenge investigators because every explanation seems to answer some questions while creating entirely new ones. Perhaps that is why this case has never truly been forgotten. It reminds us that even in the modern world, there are still places where nature, history, and human understanding fail to meet. And somewhere beneath the endless snow of the Ural Mountains, the mountain may still be keeping its final secret.